Until I have myself a proper office setup, which is not possible right now, these are going to be hard to film, these pre-builts, just based on space, but I will do my best to film them properly. Over here, we have ourselves two, there they are, OMEN towers, each HP OMEN towers. We have the tiny little one right here. It's a very small, very small little tower. Almost like, I mean, it is technically in the small form factor space based on its size. And then we have kind of a mid tower over here. It'll be a little hard to cover here, but you can see the two different towers here. This here is the 16L, 16 liter. This one here is the 30, what do they say it is? 35L. I don't remember what the big one is, 45L or something. It literally is liters, which is weird, but I mean, it makes sense. You obviously know how big your towers are the moment you get them. This one here may look big on camera, of course, by comparison, but it's actually like a true MATX tower, and not a huge MATX. It's not tiny, like I have some like Johnsbow cases over there and that are MATX, but they're like the smallest they can possibly be. This is a small standard MATX case. This here is, it's not really its own thing, like it's in kind of a small form factor design, but it's not like tiny. Like here we have over here, you know, that's like a Mac Mini, much smaller. This is a ITX based system right here, and it's obviously a little bit smaller. Let's bring it in actually. Just for comparison, this is an ITX-based little minis forum thing with an actual ITX motherboard in it. It's, you know, kind of your traditional business style machine. That's kind of what they emulated. You know, the old school IBMs and that kind of stuff, Lenovo ThinkCenters and that kind of crap. Kind of like, it looks like that. It's got an ITX motherboard inside, very thin. It doesn't even take a full height GPU. This one here, of course, is wider, so it does take a full height GPU. You don't need a low profile GPU. That's one advantage. Only a tiny bit taller. It's hard to show. Maybe about 2.5 centimeters, so maybe like an inch and a touch there. And then obviously it's a little bit longer, but not that much, right? 5 centimeters, 4 centimeters, so maybe 2 inches at most. So it is small. This is very small. And again, this is an ITX tiny little system there. So on this one here, you get I/O on the front, which is actually very impressive. We'll get into that in a moment. Single intake fan down here. Here we have dual intake fan, 1 and 2. No I/O on the front side, but otherwise they look the same. The I/O on the bigger tower is up top, but it's decent enough. This is motherboard-based I/O. This chip in here right now doesn't have integrated graphics, but you could put in one with integrated graphics. Then you can use these HDMI display in that. Audio type stuff there. Exhaust fan, single exhaust fan. GPU here, you can see you can get all the way up to technically like 4 slot. It has room for 4 slot, which is also crazy for something like that. Power supply, exhaust. There's that. Not the craziest I/O in the back. You only get 4 standard USB-A and Ethernet, and they're not super fast. But again, I'm fine with that, because this thing has crazy front I/O, like really good actually, to be honest. It's actually very impressive. These are all fast ports, all of them. SATA, NVMe, NVMe, NVMe. Very good. Headphone, power, crazy. That's so good. Okay, and here is a look inside of the device with the GPU out. You can see there's this little trap door thing here that basically, it also has a little bracket on it. The bracket meant to hold the GPU, keep it nice and firm, good for shipping and just in general, it'll hold it. Front comes off, and we do have that large fan there, 120 millimeter. In theory, you could take it out, swap it, but these are pretty good fans actually. These OMEN fans, just honestly leave it. No intake here, unfortunately, so the CPU is not going to be fed a lot, but this will basically just pull cool air in there. It'll run up through the system, partially into the GPU, partially into the CPU. Out the back, and I find they're pretty effective, to be honest. It is a decent sized power supply, 500 watts. It's reasonable. This CPU here is a 265F, not K, meaning if you have this GPU in here, which should pull, you know, these can pull max of 150. These actually only idle at about, or these only rest under load at 65. So, I mean, honestly, even peak, you know, you're like 100, something like that. This whole system is using maybe 300 watts. It might peak up to 350 or something like that. So you can easily upgrade this CPU as long as you can keep it cool. But there's definitely the wattage on the power supply to upgrade the CPU. And technically the GPU, it does have 2 connector there. So you could put in like a 5070 Ti. And the 5070 Ti would have enough power to run. Now the only real barrier to upgrade, honestly, well, I mean, you have to be able to fit it within 500 watts with that CPU, which you can do a lot, to be honest. The primary issue here is just going to be length, right? So here is, I believe, the smallest 5070 Ti. This is an MSI Inspire. I think it's the smallest 5070 Ti, at least for now. You can see here with that out, there's just no room for the 5070 Ti. And as it stands right now, it's just the case is too long, slightly too long. So you can't get something this long in here. And this is an MSI Inspire, it's just ever so slightly too long. 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte though is a very capable GPU. So I'm not going to be like, oh, this tiny little system doesn't have any power, you need to upgrade it. Believe me, you can. But what I'm saying here is down the road, you know, this system 265F and 5060 Ti is going to be good for many years. But let's say 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, you're like, I want to upgrade to the new 6000 series or something like that. As long as you can fit it in here. Pretty much any 2 fan will fit without any problems whatsoever. It really is just the 3 fans where it becomes a little bit too long to get into the case, but any 2 fan will be fine. And what I'm getting at here is you do have access to 2 power because it is 500 watts. So you're going to have access to 2 prongs. The HP OMEN larger ones like the 35, they don't use proprietary. This uses proprietary, so it has that power supply with this kind of split thing where it has the 4 prong over there. Not a lot of power for this because there's not a lot of VRMs, and a 2 prong over there. So one of the limitations of this is you don't necessarily want to throw in, you know, super powerful CPUs because you just don't have a lot of power coming over these PCI, basically a 4. So usually I would leave it with an F SKU, 265F, for example, which is very capable. You'll find out in this video. But then if you're going to upgrade, typically this GPU is going to be good for a long time, 5060 Ti for sure. But down the road, maybe you want to upgrade to the 6000 series or whatever AMD has, you know, 10,000 series or whatever. That's where you're going to upgrade primarily within the GPU. Now this system is also sold with just a 5060, which is a lot slower than a 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte. So if you bought that, you know, a couple years down the road, maybe you'd be more likely to upgrade. But honestly, the 5060 Ti is going to be good for a long time. Now, in terms of upgradability, we have a single NVMe here. Airflow should be reasonably fine. The RAM will block it a little bit, but technically, the air comes up here. There's a second NVMe slot over here on the right. So you can easily upgrade to 2 NVMEs. So you could do 8 and 16. So you can get 16 terabytes very easily in the system. Now, the motherboard has a SATA connector. So you can actually put in a SATA connector and put in a SATA SSD. The problem is the power supply doesn't have a SATA-based power, which is kind of dumb. I'm not sure why HP did that. Upgradable Wi-Fi as well. So fortunately, DDR5 does run in dual channel. Actually, not Digital Foundry, Hardware Unboxed just recently did a video on this about, because the RAM apocalypse is here and RAM is incredibly expensive, like unbelievably expensive right now. And so one of their video topics or whatever, the whole purpose of the video was, what if you buy one stick, put it in for now, for example, 16 gigabytes, so it's enough RAM, put it in for now, rock 16 gigabytes for now, single stick, puts it in dual channel, then, I don't know, a year down the road, hopefully the bubble pops, or you just save up money to upgrade it, and then you get a second stick and put it in, match it. How effective was the DDR5 in single stick? And it's not that much of a problem to do that, honestly. I've been doing it on laptops, a lot of Lenovo laptops, Lenovo Legions, if you get them with 16 gigabytes. They don't ship with 218s, they ship with 116, which I like because it doesn't give you that much of a performance impact to have a single stick of DDR5, but it also means that down the road you could buy the same stick. So it's going to be easier down the road to buy yourself a 16 gigabyte of the same stick. So this is XPGA data. Get the exact number there. So that if you buy this system and then, I don't know, in a year, you pick up a stick of this, you'll be fine. It is 6,000 megatransfers RAM. It's not going to run that fast because it's going to be at UDIM. JDEC speeds, sorry. It's going to run at JDEC speed, so it'll run slower, but it is still capable. So 16 gigabytes, I'm fine with that. I have seen these with 32 gigabytes, in which case they probably just have 2 of these. But if you get it with 16 gigabytes, just rest assured it will run fine, honestly, because it is DDR5. It doesn't run in a single channel like the old days. It runs in kind of like a pseudo dual channel anyways, and then technically when you add another stick, it goes into quad channel. Okay, now the cooler. The issue with this is actually a decent cooler. Let's get in here and get a better look at it. Right, like your kind of OEM non-tower cooler, but it actually looks pretty good. It's got you can see there's copper heat pipes in there, 1, 2, running through the fin stack. So that's really nice. And then of course you also do have the radiator grill, quite tall to be honest. The fan here is not anything impressive. It's like not a huge fan, but it's going to move a decent amount of air. It's going to move a decent amount of air through that fin stack there. You do have access to the 2 copper heat pipes running through that as well. So it's not your traditional, like, I don't know, an Intel generic cooler, which is just like a tiny little, like, what do you call that? I don't even know what they're called, the Intel one. It's just a tiny little fin stack. There's definitely no heat pipes on it, just copper on the bottom, or aluminum. A lot of times it's just aluminum. And then you just have your fan on, just blowing some air through it. This thing is the same type of concept, but significantly more robust. So even if you can get the right pin out in here, like not pin out, screw layout, for example, to upgrade the cooler here, the problem is not that. The problem is the height, the Z height. So let's just bring in, this is just a cooler, right? I'll just like even put it to the bottom of the motherboard. Physically, it'll stick outside of the case. So even, you know, your traditional kind of tower style cooler like this, it's not going to work. On that note, we'll see here. So from the base of the motherboard, like literally where the screws are touching, like that, I'll just come maybe to the back here so it's a little easier. So you physically cannot surpass, it's probably about there. I wouldn't go any further than that. So in inches, you're at about 5 inches, 5¼ inches in terms of how much clearance you have there. Maybe a touch, like a touch more maybe. So you are going to need a low profile cooler if you want to, why is this not centimeters? It's weird. Weird thing. If you want to basically get it in here, you'll just have to have that type of height. Okay, so here's the cooler off. A good thermal paste to spread, honestly. Very nice. They just obviously applied a full spread there. No problems whatsoever. And what I want to show you here, if I can get that out of here, slide to the side. See that? Standard, standard, standard. So you could put in this here thing, maybe, I'm not sure, but there you go, right? So you can put in a standard cooler. So your only limitation is not going to be, does it take a standard cooler? That's not the question here. Yes, it takes a standard cooler in terms of bracket. The only limitation is the height. So that's fantastic to see there, that you, as long as you can get yourself and secure yourself a nice, you know, slightly lower profile cooler that fits within that 5¼ inches, then you're going to be just fine to put the cooler in here and upgrade it. Okay, so we're set up here. It's been a while. I finished the whole other review of the other OMEN, and I've been using this for a couple days now, just messing around with it. It's nice. It looks big on camera, by the way, but it is not big. It is a very small little system, just the way the camera is. It's nice, right? You get your little RGB, or I guess white, flowing in there, clean setup there, window there with that style fan, RGB glowing through, nice clean little system. Pretty quiet too. I mean, I'm not doing anything right now. There's different power modes. Right now we're in silent, just hanging out, not doing anything. Let's see. My noise floor is about 33, so it's audible, but barely. And considering it's right beside me, I mean, not bad. Yeah, so I mean, idle, there's no noise at all. We can check some of the temperatures here under idle. I'll just go through them in case it's hard to read. CPU idle, 33, so on quiet mode, so it's not hot, 36, 36. Come down here, idle watt is, it kind of is going up and down, but around 10, basically. Very good. And what else we got here? RAM, cool, 31 degrees. SSD idling at 30 degrees or so. I've already tested it for speeds and heat and that kind of stuff. GPU idling at 24. 24 and 34. I mean, it's not a hot GPU, despite its power. And the fan, the large fan on the front, is feeding directly into that GPU. So it's getting a lot of cool air, and it's not very far away, so that's good. So yeah, nice clean little system here. What I want to do now, though, is I want to test noise and thermals. We'll do it first with CPU, see how noisy it is, see what the thermals are like. We'll also test the different performance modes, because the fan modes actually do make a difference. I've already kind of tested it to prove my concept before I did this. We can see how it, you know, what the noise is like here. So let's come in here. We'll go performance here to start. We'll see where we're at. So I'm actually kill that light off there, and we'll see where we're at for Cinebench. And again, this is the F SKU of the CPU. It is, I mean, it's a 265, so it is a powerful, very powerful CPU. Very, very powerful, especially for professional productivity tasks. But, and it's kind of crazy to have it in such a small system, but it's the F SKU, so it's lower watts. So it's not going to peak as high as the K SKU, for example, or KF. So we'll run that. Now it should tear through this Cinebench here, despite the lower watts. So an immediate dump there of 127, which is a lot. Not even close to throttling yet. This will come down in a moment once its boost wears out, and the temperature will plummet as well. This fan is just now turning up. Peek at the score there. 30,000, almost 31,000. The 265K can do more, probably 36, 37,000, but it'll maintain boost higher and watts higher. But I mean, this is a 265F, right? It's doing very well. We're actually still at almost 100 watts. I thought it was going to drop lower than that. So yeah, it's going to sustain 100 watts. And temperatures are not bad. 80 degrees. Yeah, 80 degrees. Essentially 80 degrees. There, and that's finally throttling. I guess that's kind of, it's like, all right, let's chill out. So I guess 80 is around where it wants to throttle. Not bad. Core temperature 72. It says distance to TJ max 33, but it might just be report. It says it's throttling. It may just be like this is just a sensor. It might just be weird. But the scores are good. You're going to be around 30,000-ish in multiple runs here. Very good. It's running pretty well, despite the fact that it's kind of almost like an OEM style cooler, like an Intel stock cooler. It has a thick amount of metal on it, and it actually does have heat pipes running through it, so it's pretty impressive. Let's come down here and we'll go all the way down to quiet though. Just skip balanced, whatever. Immediate fan noise drop. Hugely quieter. And the performance actually does drop. That's really interesting. One of the things I like about these OEM systems is just the fact that they have these software that's developed typically for like laptops, and they actually work so well in the desktop space. You can literally just be like, I don't want to hear this thing anymore. Silent. Remember, my noise floor was 33, so it's like 1 or 2 dB above that. It's barely audible. It's louder than my mini PC, put it that way. That's as far as I'll say it's noisy. So performance mode is 100 watts. Balanced mode, silent mode is about 60, 65. Look at that drop. It's still very good. I mean, it's efficient chip, right? From 30 to 31 on full. Down here, even at only at 65 watts, we're still at like 28,000 or so. We'll come over here, we'll stop it. And just restart unbalanced, just so we get a fresh score. What's the watts here on balanced then? So it's going to boost, obviously, for like a half second. 65-ish, 62, 65. It's no quieter. I don't think there's any difference between silent and balanced. Yeah, there's no difference. So balanced or default, I guess I'd call it balanced. Default and quiet are exactly the same. There is actually no difference there whatsoever. They sound exactly the same, and the watts are the same. There you go, finally dropped down. So yeah, silent mode or quiet mode, like 24, 25,000, that's very impressive for a system that is essentially silent. If this thing was on your desk, you might be able to, you can hear that there's something on. That's all I'll say. If it was on your desk, you wouldn't be able to hear it. And then performance mode, even that's pretty quiet, and it does give you then 100 watts sustained, and it gives you an extra 5,000. So decent performance boost. Okay, and here's some Wi-Fi, RGB stuff, and you can see here we do have access to the RGB. Right now it's in Volcano, so it's pulsing and changing colors. Galaxy. What's the difference? Galaxy, red. So I'm just coming through, I'm just messing with these different modes here. You can play with them. Breathing, blinking is going to be really annoying. Breathing will be okay. Ocean. Yeah, you can play with them. Fast. XBG, it knows. It knows. And you click on it, and you can change the stuff there. So yeah, I mean, you even get some RGB built-ins too, which is pretty cool for a little OEM, you know, not super expensive gaming machine like this. Hello friends, we're back. Now we're in Cyberpunk. The reason we're in Cyberpunk is it's very CPU heavy. Oh, ray tracing, interesting. We can easily do ray tracing on this with this resolution of this GPU, but let's just go like that. Ultra, just native, or sorry, ultra with balanced scaling, something like that. Oh, the GPU pulls a lot more power than I thought. It's capable of pulling way more GPU, maybe more watts of the GPU. I guess it's going to be dynamic, right? So the GPU is going to pull where it's needed, because here we're pulling 170 watts on the GPU. So let's let this run for a minute here and see how cool this gets, because this might actually get a little warmer. So we'll come here, we'll let this run for a while, because now the GPU is pulling 170 watts. Wow, okay. Way more than I thought. So that's going to be quite good. We'll let the GPU pull for a little while here, let the CPU pull for a little while here, and you know, see what kind of performance we're getting. But okay, so here's a look inside. Just popped off the side. Nice and cool over here. A little bit of temperature there with whatever that VRM is there. Not bad anywhere in here. SSD 5150, not bad. GPU is running super cool. Surface temperatures, quite cool. 12 volt high power, no problems there. Not for a GPU of this wattage. Very cool inside. Yeah, honestly, very impressive. It's running quite cool inside. Those reds look hot. It's just the way the palette is, but I mean, yeah, it's really not bad. Ports there. Yeah, no problems. Very good. Yeah, not bad. If we run into temperature issues, then I can turn the fans up to that kind of unlocked thing. I don't suspect we will. I mean, the GPU is pumping 170 watts into the system, 170 watts worth of hot air into the system. But, I mean, that's actually not a lot of watts if you think about it. That's like laptop GPU level watts. Actually, yeah, it is. My 5080 laptop can pull 170. So, and it's probably around the same performance. Maybe similar, something like that. It's not bad, honestly. CPU is not really getting any hotter. It's 75, 74. Tons of frames here, 70 FPS here, you know, 1440p ultra wide, not 1440p normal. VRAM is nice, right? We have that extra RAM, right? This is not an 8 gigabyte GPU, this is 16. So we're not going to run into VRAM issues ever, to be honest, on this GPU, unless you, I don't know, maybe there might be some type of like texture packs or something you could do it. But generally speaking, this thing is going to have VRAM for days, to be honest. So excellent performance here. 65 to 70, depending on where you're at. 1440p ultra wide on ultra. It's very good. Temperatures, no temperature issues here. Very good. I'll turn it down to 1440p like normal, because some people don't have an ultra wide screen. So, oops. So this is just like normal 14. It'll stretch it out so it looks weird, but it's rendering the same, the proper resolution. Right, huge jump in performance here. So this is now 1440p instead of ultra wide. Ultra wide's common enough, I would say, but I think more people don't have ultra wide. They just have a standard 1440p monitor, and that'll do very well, obviously. We can test 1080p. I mean, yeah, people buy 1080p GPUs, screens, but I think most people are slowly moving more away from 1080p towards 1440p. Other than esports gamers, that's a totally different thing. But, you know, I'd say most people are moving towards 1440. CPU is still not being taxed, obviously. I don't have a 4K, well, I do, it's right beside it, stuck behind there. But I'm not going to test it on 4K that much. It does handle 4K. It's not a problem. It's just that it's not really meant for that. Yeah, we can try a little ray tracing, sure. Really hit the GPU a little harder. So let's go like ray tracing medium. High is too much, but we'll go ray tracing medium and some scaling. We can use more scaling. This is, again, 1440p ultra wide. Oh, it's actually doing better than I thought. Yeah, let's maybe turn up that a little bit there, a little bit more scaling. Yeah, not quite 60. I mean, it's a 5060 Ti when it gets down to it. Let's try normal 1440p. You might be able to pull it off, honestly. I think it can. So it'll look stretched again, but this is normal 1440p instead of ultra wide. Yeah, with medium ray tracing, not bad. Of course, scaling, but and see, now you can use frame gen because you're at 60. You've hit your 60 point where you're like, all right, now we have like a good frame rate, at which point you can use frame gen. I don't like 4x frame gen. You can do it if you want. It's not for me. I'm sorry, I do not like it, but 2 times frame gen when our base frame rate is 60, sure, why not? The latency is going to be essentially non-existent in a game like Cyberpunk. Like, you're not playing a competitive online shooter, so yeah, very good. So here's my advice. I just finished my review of the larger one of this, the OMEN 35, 36, whatever it was. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. And it's a great system because it's also very affordable and it's fully standard. Everything's fully standard on that system. The negatives of that one is it is significantly larger than this one. Even being a fairly small tower, it is significantly larger. So if you are very, size limited, this is going to be much easier to fit somewhere. Now, yes, it does use a lot more proprietary parts, just the motherboard and the power supply, proprietary parts. So you can't easily upgrade that down the road, but it's still kind of an end game system as it is, honestly. Like, it has a 265F, which is a fantastic CPU. You are not going to need to upgrade that for a very long time, right? Especially if you're gaming at 1440p and 4K, it's irrelevant. You don't need to upgrade that. Realistically, it's fantastic. If you're doing professional stuff, productivity tasks, that's a monster of a CPU. So, I mean, that's what you want. You don't want necessarily to get AMD for productivity tasks. You want Intel. It's just better. Unless you get into like a 9950X, which would cost you a fortune. The GPU here is awesome. 5060 Ti is really good with the 16 gigabyte model. You don't need to really upgrade that again unless you're really trying to push like native 4K gaming or something. And, at that point, in 2 years or something, we'll be in the next generation. There'll be a 6060 Ti or something. And, just pop that in, or some other 2-fan GPU. The only thing is just you're limited by length. The wattage will be fine as long as it's not some monster. It's just going to come down to length. You just have to make sure you don't get a 3-fan, because most 3 fans are not going to fit in there. As long as you get a 2-fan, you'll be fine. So I don't know, maybe MSI or something introduces a 5070 Ti 2-fan, and it's a little bit shorter, and then it would work in here. Honestly, it has the power supply will be fine. 500 watts will easily drive a 5070 Ti with that CPU. So you do have upgradability. The only limitation is part of what you're buying into in the first place. It's a small system, right? It's smaller this way. It's smaller this way. So in terms of like CPU height, in terms of a cooler, you can't put in like a giant tower cooler. It's just the way that it is. In terms of the GPU, it's a little bit shorter this way. So as long as you get in a 2-fan, you're going to be just fine. So you have a lot throughout to go. If you buy into the system and you don't buy it with the 5060 Ti 16 gigabyte, which is, very good. May say you just buy into it with, I don't know, I think they sell this with a 3050, which is kind of weak. But let's say you buy in with like the 5060 or something, which is okay for now. And then, you get some money saved up. In a year, you're like, all right, well, it's time to upgrade. You take out the 5060, which is fine, whatever, put it to the side. You throw in a 5060 Ti. You throw in a 9060 XT or something from AMD, and you're going to be okay. It's very good. Another thing that's important to consider here is, well, it doesn't have a lot of storage inside, just 2 NVMe's. So you can still put 16 terabytes of storage inside. But it has a lot of front I/O and fast I/O. All this is, fast. Most importantly, this thing is generally pretty affordable. You're able to buy into this system here during a time when we have very, very, very high prices across the board. Things are very expensive. You're able to buy into a system like this that is way better than I thought it was going to be. It's a fully capable, good system. You're able to buy it at a much lower cost, and you're gaming today with a good CPU and an excellent GPU and an excellent CPU, both of them. And yeah, you give up a little bit of, the size, some of the niceties of getting the larger OMEN, the bigger OMEN where it's all standard parts and it's just bigger, more room, more expandability. But here you're buying into a small thing. Like, this thing will actually fit in a carry-on without problems. Like, you could put this thing in your backpack if you have a big backpack. Yeah, easily. You could easily put this in a big backpack, right? It's not a problem. If you travel and you want to take like your gaming system with you, you're going to go somewhere and you're going to travel for a while and be like, I'm going to take this with me. Yeah, you can take this with you. It's actually pretty small. Like, it's very small for a gaming PC. So it's just like weird to think about, like, yeah, you buy into this like gaming tower, and it's not like a weird compromised gaming tower, just a straight up gaming tower, right? Like, I have this one over here. This one here is an ITX motherboard inside. It's a great system, little minis for them. ITX motherboard inside, great CPU, and it has a 5060 in it, which you can get a 5060 as well. But that one over there, it's a low profile GPU. So I can't put in I can never go above a 5060 until someone releases the next generation of low profile. This one just takes standard height GPUs. So very impressive. So yeah, that's the OMEN 16 liter. I saw it in Best Buy and I was like, it's cute and small and I like it. And I wanted to review it, and then I got it and I was like, man, this thing's actually very good. Like, I knew it was going to be like decent, like fine, whatever. It'll be like, it'll be all right, right? Like it's got good specs, whatever, it'll be okay. But it actually is like very well tuned. It's a very, very well tuned system from HP. So I think it's great. If you're looking for a small system that's costs a lot less but offers very good performance, and you're okay with some of the things like, you know, it's smaller, some of the little things, quirks of being a smaller system, that kind of stuff, I think it's definitely worth it. It's a very good machine. So good job, HP. I really like this tower. Don't get rid of it. Keep making them. You can tweak them as you go, but it's really cool. The only thing is, just give us a power for that single SATA. Like there's a SATA power slot on the motherboard. Like I would love to be able to hook up a SATA drive of some kind, but otherwise it's really good. Really, really good.